Welcome to the Men of Honor podcast. My name is Corey, your host, and today I'm going to be dissecting one of conversation I had on Instagram with a gentleman. He was talking about how women are all bitches and it's hard to find wifey material. And I totally disagreed with him, obviously. And I said, we need to just dig deeper into reason why the relationships that you've been keep breaking down, or these women end up turning out to be bitches, because it's very difficult. I'm not saying there's no bitches out there, and I think the definition of bitches is been used in order just to degrade women. It's so wrong, because I think from personal experience, 99% of the time, women and men want to meet up and have a long-lasting relationship, and they want it to be fulfilling, and they want to be meeting somebody that's gonna make them feel amazing. And usually what happens is the fact that there's a lot of shit that goes into the way and then stops it from happening. And some of you are actually in relationships and it's got strained, and you think that your woman is a bitch, or you think your man is a dick, and it's just in fact that some of the shit has come up, and shit that you've not dealt with. And this is the stuff I'm going to be talking about today. And we had this discussion, and he was talking about that I would like to meet wifey material. And I said, I think some of the people that you've met before are probably wifey material. It's just the fact that when you go in with a certain mindset within a relationship, you end up getting a certain outcome. So if you've gone out thinking that all women are bitches, then she's eventually going to turn out to be a bitch, because you said start acting a certain way that will bring out the bitch in her, basically. So this is a very key concept, and it's key because a lot of it, when you turn around and say, this man is a dick, or I keep meeting dicks, or I keep meeting bitches, it's the fact that it comes down to self-love. And a lot of people do not work on self-love, because the world and the way we have built society is to discriminate, is to harbor self-doubt. And I see this especially with my kids now, that the way they, from a very young age, they start testing them and putting them through sets and things like that. And it's a way of getting them to start preparing, but also there's no way of keeping their self-confidence. So even the way they deal with interactions, negative interactions. Quite recently, there's a child that has been having a negative interactions with my kid, and the way they've been dealing with it hasn't been to help her self-esteem. Her self-esteem has been dipping because of the interactions that she's had. So it's building a little bit of anxiety in terms of going to school sometimes. And she could carry this for the rest of her life in terms of interactions, because this is now a reference experience, and she can make decisions based on that. So obviously I'm working towards helping her to maintain her self-esteem and see herself as being amazing. And she's amazing, very intelligent. I am biased, obviously, but she's very intelligent, very an amazing way of looking at the world. So that being said, self-love is the most important thing when you're entering into a relationship. It sounds selfish, but I think if you go in without the self-love, then you are going into the relationship wanting to gain something. And when you go in with the intention of wanting to take something, then you're going to be disappointed, because we're human beings. We are temperamental. We are very emotional, and our emotions are dependent on the different things that are happening within our life. We evolve as well. So depending on where we are with our life, whether we have to change our jobs or we've lost our job, we evolve and change in a certain way. And sometimes that adaptive change will change desire and, everything like that. So because we're not consistent, if you go in there and you're getting some fulfillment from that person because they're behaving a certain way and they're fulfilling something, they might actually evolve and into something else. And if you cannot adapt, then obviously that's where the tension comes. Because in every relationship, as you get older, you evolve and certain things happen. So in my case, we were just, three of us, me, my wife and son. And then when the second kid came along, we had to evolve again. So because we evolved and we had to adapt, both of us. If one of us adapted and the other one didn't, the desires change and everything else, Dave. And then because we cannot communicate or we don't communicate, then that's where the issues begin. Now, I've just said all of that just to get to this, to try and just bring emphasis to this point that it becomes more important to get into a relationship with the intention of contribution. And the best way to get into a point of contribution is to be already self-sufficient. And we do usually get into a relationship wanting and desiring and just wanting to take. And I said to him, I was speaking to the gentleman, I said, if you've gone into a relationship wanting her to fulfill you and wanting her to be the one, wanting her to be, it's so much pressure and you so much judgment towards her that, usually when you're under the microscope, human beings don't like to be under the microscope. So it makes you feel uncomfortable. If somebody's not dictating how you behave, even without saying how you behave, but they feel like they're walking on eggshells, usually it can repel somebody, but usually it just makes some person not really interested in going forward within the relationship. And again, it comes back to, if he was in contribution, trying to figure out how he can best contribute to the relationship. And when I say contribution, I actually mean that in terms of his behavior, he's looking to see the best qualities about her and enhance those best qualities. And the negative ones will just come up by themselves, so you don't need to highlight them. They come up by themselves. But when they do come up, you're understanding that it's a weakness. You see how you can contribute to make it into a strength, or complement to it to be a strength. And it could be anything, whether it's I got a friend, his wife could not cook, and for some men it's a deal breaker, but he is taking it upon himself that I will be the one that's going to cook. And if you want to learn how to cook, he's not said you need to go and learn how to cook. He just said, I will take it upon myself that I will cook. I love her, and if she feels like she wants to learn, that's up to her, But at that point, it's one of those things that outside looking in, some guys would be judging, but there's no need to judge if that's what works for them. And I think that was a show of strength to do something like that. And that's contribution. And in case if you're wondering what's contribution, and it's not just behavior, it's also emotional. The fact that some people need consistent reassurance it's a taking behavior. So being able to be self-sufficient, you're not seeking to be reassured all the time in terms of your trust and everything. So there's a lot of things that we can dig deep into this, and I would rather just sort of keep it at the surface level in this case. And in this case, I was saying to him, you need to be in a place of contribution, and some of it has to actually be almost contradictory into what you desire. And so what I meant to him was saying that instead of seeking to have a relationship or being in a relationship, have you ever taken time not to be in a relationship? Just don't look for it. Don't look for being in a relationship. Look to enjoy your life. Continue having conversations with people. And I'm not talking about cheating. I'm just saying having conversations, discovering what it is about yourself that is stopping you from being self-sufficient. So in terms of my case, I've talked a lot about trauma and, overcoming trauma, because some of that is, you've had a traumatic experience and you've never dealt with it, and being able to deal with those things for yourself gets you to that point of contribution, and then you'll have more successful relationships. And those relationships are not just in the dating, but even in business, in your family as well. That's really important when you become a place a person that contributes into relationship, because again, not everybody's going to be in the place of contribution. But if you come into a place of contribution with somebody that is seeking to take, you can actually lead them to a point of contribution as well, and you can both have a fulfilling relationship. So I hope I've answered the gentleman, and if I've not, and it's got very confusing, I'm sorry. We can have this interaction again, and I can try and say it in a different way. So, but I hope you get the gist of what I'm trying to say, that self-love is like the most important thing, spending time with yourself, and again, I think the key thing as well to know that if you self-love is the fact that something that I've been overcoming, I've only just started really getting control of it, is every time I'm by myself, I am not medicating as I did before, or medicating or distracting myself. So I'm not having to watch Netflix. I'm not saying Netflix is bad, but I would do it in order to escape my emotions in my mind, or watch porn, or do all sorts of things in order to escape my mind. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm quite comfortable with just sitting there and doing my own thing and just enjoying my own company. And this is a good indicator to see if you actually love yourself. I think if you sit down and then all of a sudden you got this negative voice now speaking and talking about how shit you are and everything, that's something that you need to address. And again, you got no business getting into a relationship if you've got that. I mean this because if you don't deal with it before you get into a relationship, that's the thing that's going to destroy your relationship anyways. So dealing with it is like so advantageous when you get into a relationship, because when you are totally whole and you can be self-sufficient and be good with yourself, that is what makes you attractive, and that's what makes you more desirable. And it transcends just the physical attraction. It's actually more powerful than the physical attraction and the sexual attraction. In fact, it makes the sexual pleasure even more intense, because you are in that place of giving. You're not trying to rush for the orgasm or whatever. You're actually in a place where it's a mutual beneficial thing. So it, like I said, it covers a large part of a relationship. So this is a pivotal thing to actually learn before you actually get into a relationship, my friend. So when you do go into, you do work on this, I can guarantee the next woman you meet will be the woman of your dreams. And again, is that the woman of your dreams is also predicated on how you see yourself. So if you see yourself as pretty shit, you're going to be looking for something shit within the other person, and then you will always find it because you've got blinkers on, So yeah, I think I've overgone the time period that I like to go. But thank you very much for listening, guys. Hopefully this is helpful, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. So tomorrow I got an interesting podcast episode. I'll be speaking to Sam. He's a guy we met first at the driving range, and we just hit it off. We shared a love for golf, and then he mentioned something on Instagram yesterday, and I liked his post. It was so inspirational. He talked about mental illness and his battle and how he's been coping with it, and it's such impressive strategies he mentioned. And I asked him to come on to the podcast so we can talk about it and his strategies, and I think they'll be beneficial to our listeners. So thank you very much for listening, and hope you guys can tune in tomorrow, because we've got a really amazing one. So thank you very much. Take care.